All right, folks, welcome to Nino's Corner.tv. I got Larry Ballard back with me again, going to be talking about silver and that we are actually in the Great Reset right now. This is it. But is it going to be the reset or the we set? That's the question. But first, folks, this is important. Get your noble gold. Now this is a time like ever before. This is the time. If you're over 40 and planning to retire someday, the window to protect what you built may be smaller than you realize, and it is shrinking every day. Ask yourself this: is your portfolio built for what's coming next? As retirement moves from someday to on the horizon, protecting what you built becomes just as important as growing it. That's where Noble Gold Investments come in. They help investors reduce risk by adding gold and silver to their portfolios. Visit noblegoldinvestments.com, noblegoldinvestments.com, and get started on it, folks, because I'm telling you, this is where it's all going. It's going to precious metals and fast. All right, Larry. So we know this is it. We are in the crunch right now. Everyone can see that right now. I'm going to show a picture of silver where it's at right now. And it's let's see what it's at today, 72.26. And what China's $10 ahead, so they're probably about 82 right now.
Sounds probably logical. And just for those who don't follow silver, what he's talking about is that 72.26 price is for future silvers, for future silver deliveries. And that's what's causing the squeeze. We don't have the silver in those accounts here in America. And so we're short, and it's going to lead to a catastrophic event economically, which we'll get into in a minute. But if you go to China and you look at what the price is, I haven't checked it this morning. The other day, the spread was up to $14. Why? Because that silver is deliverable. This silver is not. And people who want silver don't want to have to get to the end of the contract and find out that, oh, they're going to buy me out. They're not going to give me my silver. So should we get started on this?
Yeah, let's get started. Yeah, let's go. So you feel like you do feel like this year is the year?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. It's all happening. So I'm going to start with Kim Clement because, everything I do kind of relates to the Bible in one regard. So I'm going to read you two quotes from Kim Clement that are from June the 14th, 2014. And here's what he's saying. Just stop and ask yourself, doesn't this feel like this is where we're at right now? It says, a rendering is coming in the fall. Many will fall and many will rise from the dust. But remember, when these tremors and when these tumultuous moments happen, here it is, I will make it so that the fall can do its work where? In America. So what are we seeing? We're seeing what? You turn on the news today, we're talking about silver, but what's happening over in Iran? We're on day 8 of a catastrophic collapse of the Iranian government. Basically, they're routing all of the guard and taking over the whole country.
The banks are failing, right? They're completely failed. The banks in Iran.
Yeah. Everything's collapsing. Everything's collapsing, and that has something to do. I think I'll squeeze a segment into this at some point in time for investments, not only the gold and silver, but for crypto investments. And the prophets are saying that the dinar is ready to pop. And what's holding them back? The nation itself is sovereign now. What's holding it back is the big brother, Iran, has their foot on the neck of Iraq. And when this collapses, then it very well may be that the dinar pops relatively soon. But anyway, let's go back to Kim.
You've been telling me to invest in the dinar.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
You've been saying that. Yeah. You've been calling that, right.
So here's where we're at right now. We've now gone from the fall. Many will rise and many will fall, right? And so actually, before I get into that, let's go over to Venezuela and let's take a look at what that means to what's going on right here. So Venezuela is collapsing. Iran is collapsing. And what does Venezuela have to do with the United States of America? There's a lot of intertwining going on. So what really happens here? Trump has said he's going to get the oil. That's great. That's wonderful. He's going to get rid of the cartels. That's great. But the really big story is about this rise and this fall. It's going to be, they got him alive. They're going to get him to tweet like a Tweety bird, and we're going to find out the most important thing you can have, that the election in 2020, and that elections in 72 nations total, and that's going to cause the absolute collapse of the entire political and economic system around the world. We're going to be able to remove politicians from our country and multiple countries around the world. The banks are going to fall with this squeeze with what's happening there. It's going to cause a cascade of the banking system. So there's Kim Clement's
So
prophecy.
you think this is happening this year? This year, the collapse is coming worldwide?
I think it's happening as we speak.
Right now, yeah.
Right now, right this minute. So let's go down to his Christmas thing. So this is June 14th, 2024. And he says, winter will say, I will make them happy. And it goes on, I have chosen each season to manifest something. My will shall be done. So where are we? We're in a situation where this collapse that's happening triggered the financial reset. The promise that God made that the wealth would be transferred from the wicked to the righteous. So let's just see if that fits into Kim Clement's prophecies. So let's just say that you were one of those people who was listening to the prophets or listening to God, and you went out and you bought a bunch of gold. Well, Donald Trump has said he's going to take gold to $20,000. So you probably made a pretty darn good investment. If you invested in silver, did you make a good investment? Well, silver is going through the roof, and here's what it's going to do. It's now separated from the COMEX, which is the futures market, the paper's future market, and now what's going to drive silver? They're not going to be able to hold it down. So let's go back and I'll give you some history on that aspect of it. So I just look at the big banks and say, God, they got a whole bunch of people who know what's going on. They got risk managers. And if I see what they're doing, then I can see the pattern. So what did JP Morgan do? JP Morgan, more than any other entity in the world, has kept their foot on silver and kept it down with all their paper contracts. They got out of all their paper. And just a few weeks ago, when silver was in the mid 60s, what did they do? They bought $22 billion worth of silver.
Wow.
So many people out there are saying, ho, 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 stop. Silver's reached the top. It's gone from 20, 30, 40, 50, 60. It's done. Do you think they would have done that if they weren't orchestrating this and didn't know what was coming and didn't know it was going to go through the roof? And so now let's analyze, well, why is it going to go through the roof? And is that practical? And what does that have to do with Kim Clement prophesied? So if you bought silver at 20, I bought some at 12 years ago. So if you bought silver at 12, at 20, at 30, and here's what's going to happen. There's a shortage. Silver is there's two quintessential minerals in the world. Silver for manufacturing and oil for a whole preponderance of things. So basically, if you bought silver at any of those price ranges, here's what's going to happen. It's disconnecting from the paper futures market, from the COMEX, and it's going to be driven by industrial demand. And we have been short on supply for the last 5 consecutive years. We've been picking up the slack by using reserves. Well, the reserves are running out, and then America is in a squeeze because we've done something foolish starting with Carter and every president from him forward until we get to Obama. We just sat back and did nothing, and we let China and Russia run amok all over the world. And guess what they did? They got all kinds of mining contracts all over the world for rare earth, for silver, for gold, for all kinds of things, while we sat and did nothing. So we're in a squeeze.
Yeah,
so
that's why we're going after. I mean, really, that's why we're going into Africa, Nigeria, Venezuela. Now we're looking at Colombia. I mean, come on. I mean, the bottom line is, yeah, we want the narco terrorists out, but they got good minerals there too.
Well, let me just see. Who is the largest silver producer in the world? What hemisphere is it in? It's in the Western Hemisphere. It's Mexico.
Yeah.
And Peru has a lot of oil.
See you later, 𝗬𝗂𝗂
Yep. So Bob,
it's over for them,
I don't want to get into that.
I mean, it's over, dude. I mean, you got the silver, we're coming.
Let's just say that Trump has more or less told us that Venezuela is just the start. He said to Iran, hey, you start shooting those people in the street, I'm coming for you, right?
Which he knows it's gonna happen. It's just gonna happen. It's like the Mexican kids at the party hitting the piñata, waiting for the candy to come out. It's coming.
Yeah. So the transfer of wealth is coming. So back to that. So let's say you bought. I've got some close friends who are just average guys. They have like 500 ounces. I got a friend who's got 2,500 ounces. All right. And if you bought that at $20 and all of a sudden, here's where it's going to go now. This is what's going to happen. Right now, they can't deliver. They're short. And so over the holidays, over the weekend here, the the Elon Musk of the world, the Samsungs, they're going out and making behind the scene deals, and they're paying whatever they have to pay. Because here's the option that they have: if they have to have silver for their batteries or silvers for whatever, if they don't have it, they have to shut their assembly line down. And if it's shut down long enough, they're out of business. So what the option is: pay whatever I have to pay to get the silver so that I can keep my business open. And so what they're saying is silver is probably going to go in a relatively short period of time. The real trading price of silver isn't reflected on what you brought up. It's not being shown to us retailers. It's happening behind the scenes in long-term deals. And from what I've been finding in my research, over the weekend when it was dark, basically Tesla and Samsung went out and secured at whatever price it was 2-year contracts. So they've got delivery guaranteed for 2 years. But what's going to happen is those prices are going to go probably to $100 or $150. And then they might go higher.
I've heard higher. I've heard something like the sweet spot's going to be 250 to get them to start mining here in America or something like that. Does that make sense?
250.
Well, in fact, Juan told me that.
3.
Yeah,
250 to 3. And here's the problem. In America, we don't have any silver mines that are what they call direct silver mines. Which all they mine is silver. So all the mines we have are basically silver is a byproduct of mining for gold or copper or whatever else. And so it's difficult to get those mines to increase their production unless we raise the price appreciably. But that's not the end of it. So basically, I'm going to get into a little section on investing. We'll cover that later. But let's go on down.
But what people really need to know, though, is, I mean, simplest terms here for people that are a little bit buy silver and gold, right? I mean, come on, make it that simple for people. Like, I have so many people like, what do I invest in? I want to watch my portfolio grow. I mean, I have friends tell me that all the time. And for the last 5 years, I've been telling them. And I have very smart friends who have a lot of money, millions of dollars. And they're like, no, I want my money to grow. I'm like, dude, what's coming? You got to invest. It's silver and gold. Am I right? That's it. Silver and gold.
Well,
maybe
let's get into that
here and there, but
I was going to talk about that later. Let's talk about a little bit about investment strategy. So let's take gold. Here's what happens. The government confiscated gold in 33. They confiscated silver in 34. All right. So they're leading us up with the Production Act, which Trump has already passed, where if we get short enough on silver, they're going to basically confiscate the silver. But he's already said he's going to take gold to $20,000. So at 5,000,
he's going to take gold to what?
To 20,000
an ounce.
Mm-hmm.
Gold 20,000. What is it at right now? 45, 48?
Yeah. Well, here, I'll break it down for you. Here's his strategy for keeping America from having an absolute default. He's going to raise gold to 20,000. He's collecting through confiscation. So this is all proving to us that we're taking the money from the bad guys. It's the transfer of wealth. Through confiscation, he's gathered Bitcoin for part of a strategic reserve. When he has 1 million Bitcoin collected, he's going to raise the price of Bitcoin to $1 million. So the gold and the Bitcoin together will give us $6.2 trillion that he's going to use to basically bring down the debt to GDP ratio. Then the next part of the strategy is to implement a stable coin backed by the US dollar and backed partially by gold to bring confidence back to the US dollar so that we don't have a complete collapse. And
if you see me looking down on my phone, and I just want to let the audience know too, the reason I'm doing that is I'm making the thumbnail right now. So I'm a one-man show here. So as you're talking to me, I'm creating a thumbnail for our show. So just so you know, it's not like I'm ignoring you or texting some friend or something. It's not.
Okay, all right.
I'm making the thumbnail.
Okay, I hope it's a good one. So we need to understand Trump's
strategy. You like that? There you go. Boom.
Yeah, there you are. Yeah.
All right.
So based on Trump's strategy, what he's trying to do is let us have a soft collapse. He's pushing the Fed out, and he's saying we're going to go to what? We're going to get out of the Internal Revenue Service and go to the External Revenue Service. And what's he going to do? He's going to basically make us the crypto capital of the world.
But the crypto is going to be backed by gold and silver. That's where I'm kind of confused. All right, what are we doing? We're going to a digital.
It's part of the strategic reserve, which is Bitcoin. The strategic reserve is gold, Bitcoin, and XRP.
So you're still sold on this XRP?
Yes.
I
So
hear
what he
so
said,
many different things. I hear XRP is good, it's bad, it's not going to be used. Bitcoin's the way to go. No, it's not. It's going to implode. I hear
all
all
right,
this different stuff.
all right. Let me finish this thought and then I'll come back to what
All
you're
right.
saying. So what basically Trump is doing is he's orchestrating a situation where we can put pressure on the Fed to lower our interest rates because we have a huge national debt refinancing situation. So that's what he's doing. And that's what he's going to try to do to keep us from having a catastrophic, complete bankruptcy. And that's huge. So now let's go to your comment about silver and about all the investments in that XRP. So if you got gold, let's say you got it at 5,000, and all of a sudden one day Trump says it's 20. All of a sudden there's no more upside. The market's froze, and so gold's a good investment,
He
but it
can
doesn't
he
do
can just doesn't I mean he can just do that and just announce what it's going to be.
He's passed the Bitcoin Act and several things. Everything legislatively that needs to be done has been done to accommodate what I just told you. So if gold goes to silver or gold goes to 20,000 in one day, the upside is gone and you're not going to lose your money, but you might have trouble getting out of gold. So let's go to silver. Silver
Here's the
at
gold price right here for people watching,
okay.
4,341.
All right, so let's go to I keep losing my thought.
Sorry, I'm
All right,
interrupting a lot. My bad.
that's okay. So let's see, where were we? So
I get
okay,
excited.
silver. We go to silver. Here's what's going to happen in silver. So silver, they may confiscate it, but that hasn't been determined yet. But silver basically is going to be driven by the industrial need, and who knows how high it's going to go. It might go to 500. It might go above that because it's going to be driven by demand, not by paper contracts, not by margins, but nothing but pure demand. And so here's what's going to happen with silver. Silver's price is going to go up and going to go down because it's based upon the law of supply and demand. If we have more mines coming in and we got more silver, the price will go down. It's going to go up. It's going to go down. So silver is going to be somewhat liquid. And it's going to be going up. So you'll be able to get out of silver at some point in time. So what you're going to be looking for are the following things. Silver has been traded recently, the last few months, for 80 to 1, 80 silver coins to $1 gold. But where it is just historically, when it's kind of more in balance, is at 30 to 1. So if we see silver going to 30 to 1, then that might be a time you might stop and look at your portfolio and say, are we going to start to slow down on the upside of silver? And maybe is there another investment that I want to take some of my money out of silver and put it into something else? So we're going to be looking at things and start to see silver's taking these huge bumps right now. Well, it starts to slow down and go up like that, then you might think about, do I want to get out of silver? So that's gold, that's silver. And then you've got XRP. And everything is laid for XRP. We're out from under the lawsuit. All the legislation that needs to be passed is passed. And we got two things that are going to trigger XRP. And then I'll answer your question in a very simple way as to why it's absolutely real. So we got the reverse carry trade going on in Japan. And I'll explain that. That's just exactly the same thing as the squeeze on silver. Basically, Japan has been forced into a situation where since the 1990s, they've had to loan money to the world at almost zero interest rate. So investors go over there, get the money, they kick it over here, they leverage it, and they go out and they buy whatever they want to buy, 90 to 1. And now what's happening is, as they're raising their interest rates, which they're doing, all of a sudden, those people are going to be in a short situation, just like with silver, where they're going to get margin calls, and there's going to be potentially $1 trillion or more out there that all of a sudden these people are going to get margin calls. It's going to be absolutely catastrophic.
And you're saying
So
this year.
yes, it's happening right now. It's happening.
I mean,
as
don't
we
think,
speak.
I mean, but still, like to really grasp that, it just seems like, people are lazy. That won't happen for another 5-10 years. Now, this is happening this year, you're saying?
It's all over the news. Do you follow Jake Claiborne?
No.
Jake Claiborne's, he's the only guy out there that has an investment firm that only deals with XRP. So what he's saying is when that reverse carry is done, when Japan has raised their interest rate and all those people are getting their margin calls, that's going to create, and look at it this way. Here's the other aspect of what happens with silver. So if silver is going to cause the banks to collapse. I don't know how many, I don't know how soon, but it's going to cause a banking crisis. So between those two, here's what's going to happen. When you go into a crisis like that, credit dries up. There's no credit. And that's what
Yeah.
basically we caused us to have Bretton Woods. So here's where XRP comes in. So we're going to get into a situation where there's no credit, and we're having a very difficult time transferring funds across the world because there's no money to back it up. The credit's been dried up. XRP kicks in, and Klaber says that at that point, he sees XRP going to $100. And that's the minimum that everybody has said it has to go to be able to have enough liquidity to carry transfers across borders. So now let me ask you a question. Here's how you figure out if silver is any good, if XRP is real. So we're going away from a fiat system. Do you agree with that?
Yes.
We're going to a digital currency. Do you agree with that?
Unfortunately, yes.
Okay, if we're going to a digital currency, that means a silver coin, a gold coin, a tanker full of oil, a truck full of
Is digital currency, does that mean cashless society? No more cash?
More or less. But we're already in a cashless society. 98% of all transactions today are done digitally.
I mean, as long as I don't have to put a chip in my hand, I'm cool.
No, you don't. So basically, lost my thought again.
Sorry.
So where was I? So basically, oh God, I got to get back on track. So we're
digital currency. Are we going into a digital currency?
Okay. All right. So here's what happens with the digital currency.
And you asked me, I said yes.
So if we're going to digital currency, Nino, you've got to go to the grocery store this afternoon and you want to buy a loaf of bread and a half a gallon, and all you got in your pocket's a gold coin. You gonna be able to do it?
No, you're gonna need silver.
No. Well, okay, you got.
Well, you're gonna need fractals, right? So that's when XRP's.
So you can't do it with if you're going to be on a digital system, then you have to have XRP, because XRP can fractionalize anything down to the smallest possible denominator. It can take a shipment of a tanker full of oil, and you can buy $1 worth of that oil. So we cannot have the quantum system that we're having. We cannot have the new economic system that's coming if we don't have the ability to quickly fractionalize anything in the world to a number that's capable of being transferred to buy something. XRP is the rails for the system to transfer the money. And once we get started at $100, then it's going to go up and up and up and up and up and up. And so it's never going to come back down, because what we're going to do is it can be, if you fractionalize in a second, it can be transferred from border to border in 3 to 6 seconds. And even if you're sending $10 million, it costs you less than a penny. That's what XRP does. That's why it's the rails of the system. And 3 years ago, for those who follow me, they know I had a near-death experience in '68. God came to me and said, I'm going to give you an opportunity to invest in what is going to be the world's reserve currency. No private citizen has ever had the opportunity to do that, and it's XRP. And so I started buying XRP with every spare penny I had, and it's ready to kick in. So let's review what we got. We got gold that's going to go up and up and up, but at some point you might get trapped in it and it can't get out. We've got silver that's going to be very volatile, but it's semi-liquid, so you're going to be able to get out. And we've got XRP, which is going to go up, and when it goes up, it'll based on implementation. It'll go up, and then the more we'll implement, it'll go up, and it'll go up just like a staircase, never to come down. And then we got the currencies, and that takes us back to where we started. The fall, and this is the indication. So we basically bludgeoned through war, Iraq and Vietnam in years past, right? Well, now they've rebuilt, and their economies are stable. Iraq is sending oil, not as crude oil, but as refined oil. They've rebuilt all their infrastructure. Vietnam is profiting tremendously from the exodus of manufacturing from China, and they've got one of the youngest populations.
What does the Vietnam use? The dong?
The dong. No, yeah. Vietnam, yeah, the Dong. So Vietnam has one of the youngest workforces. Their hourly wages are less than in China. They have gleaming new factories. They have a lot of gold. They have a very strong domestic consumer market. They have a large international market, because when your currency is so low, that makes it more cheaper to buy in the international market. So they're solid. So they meet every requirement they would need to be traded on the Forex, to be considered, a solid currency. What's been holding it back is the instability politically around the world. And so now I have no time frame for this next piece, but basically Iran has had its foot on Iraq for decades. So if they flip in the next few days, that means that political pressure is taken out. The Middle East is stabilized. That might signal that after 20 some years, we might be in a position where the nation has solved it now, and the political system is stabilized, and the dinar might revalue. And then you go to Vietnam, and Vietnam is sitting right there in the sweet spot. They're growing by leaps and bounds because of all the manufacturing that's coming from China. So here's a little tip for your people for kind of a phase 2 investment, okay? So here's what's happening. You got manufacturing leaving China. Where is it going? The first stop is right next door to China, to all of the nations around China that are culturally similar, that are close geographically, that are positioned to be able to manufacture the low end to the mid-end range. So that means South Korea, that means Vietnam, that means Thailand. All those nations are all growing tremendously. So as we get into later on in phase 2, they might be places you want to look to invest. And then we go to Mexico. What's going to happen in Mexico? Mexico is a different form of nearshoring, because basically if you bring your factory to Mexico, Donald Trump says, hey, you got a couple of choices here. I'm not trying to squeeze you. If you want to manufacture your stuff somewhere else in the world, just pay the tariff. If you don't want to pay a tariff, come to America. But it also includes Mexico, because Mexico is part of the Mexico-American-Canadian trade agreement. And so if those nations come from China and build factories in Mexico, and not just assemble products, but actually the factories build them there, they're part of the American Mexican-Canadian contract. They don't have any tariffs at all. So you're going to look to Mexico to grow. And then what's Trump doing in Venezuela? We might as well talk about that. Basically, there's a transfer of power from the Western Hemisphere to the Asian market. And here's where it's been so diverse. What happened in Asia is they have 80% of the world's population, but they're poor. By and large, they're poor. So they have very little middle class, which means what? It means they don't have a large domestic market. That's why little America with 300 million people has the world's largest domestic market, because we have a robust middle class, right? So here's what's happening. As things are changing in Asia and they're moving up to where they're getting a middle class, it's going to put the squeeze on America. And because our domestic market is going to be pushed, so we have to get good relationships with Canada, with Mexico, with Central America, and with South America. That's what Trump is doing. He's saying the cartels got to go out. We got to have stable governments. We've got to be able to come in there and do the kind of mineral deals in South America that China did in Africa. So all of this, it goes beyond just the squeeze today. This goes to the reset and how it all is forming and how it's all happening right before your very eyes. And I want, before we lose time, we only got about 10 minutes left. I want to go and give people an understanding of the big end game with this, an understanding of why the world needs to pay attention to what I'm about to say. I don't care where you are in the world, listen intently. You do not want to get suckered in to being in bed with China, because here's what China is doing. China is controlled by demonic forces, and they have already put in play right now today what you would call the beast system. They have more facial recognition than any other country in the world. You can't go anywhere unless you've got cameras on you. And if you go on the internet, they got bots tracking everything you say and do. And if you make one wrong move, your social credit score is zinged. And if your social credit score is zinged, anybody who comes in contact with you gets their score zinged. And if your score gets bad enough, guess what? You can't get on the train. You can't get on a plane.
You're an outcast.
Yep. You can't have a job. You basically can't buy and can't sell that. And it's all because they're basing, they were 10 years ago, they were the hottest spot in the world for crypto mining, but they got out of it because Bitcoin is what? Decentralized. So they didn't want that. So that's where Trump picked it up. And I'll tell you what he's doing that's so genius in a minute. So what's happening with them is they have central bank digital currency that's programmable. So that's how they're right now today able to say, Nino, you have been bad. You can't have a job. That's the beast system. That's what you're going to get into if you get in bed with China. Now, if you get in bed with the United States, here's what you're going to get into. Trump has passed legislation that says we're not going to have any central bank digital currencies. We're going to go on a system that's where the dollar is backed by gold, and we're going to basically be able to prop the dollar up so people want to come in. But here's the genius of what he's doing. All those Bitcoin minings are being done here now. He's saying we're going to be the crypto capital of the world. So to counter what's happening in Asia, with where that 80% of the population is, huge portions of it are unbanked. Look at Africa. Look at India. Look at portions of China. So what he's going to do is, if they can make the people feel comfortable with the dollar, because it's now backed partially by gold, then we become the convenient mechanism, because those are going to be able to go using XRP, and they won't have to have a bank. They can just use their phone. And we will pick up about 2 billion potential people who are going to use the US dollar via their telephone. So you see what he's done and the genius of what's going on. And so basically we're in a situation where the whole world is just being turned inside out and upside down. But that's Trump's strategy. So I just asked your audience a question. Do you want to be under a system in China that basically can, at the snap of your fingers, make sure that you can't buy anything or sell anything? Or do you want to do business with an America that's now out from under the global financial elite, that has a system that's decentralized, that basically gives you freedom? That's the choice that you're
That's
looking at.
scary. That's really scary.
It is scary. Now, I'm going to take you to another scarier part. So why in the heck is all this happening? What is the objective? So what's happening with the silver squeeze? Basically, we have, through Trump, we got access from the Chevron deal to potentially 5,915 suppressed patents, which contain energy solutions, and one of which is permanent magnets. So we cannot afford. Here's what I'm trying to tell you. If you look at what China is doing, they're the #1 manufacturer of what? Of 5G, of windmills, and of EVs, and of batteries. All green. That's the Green Deal. Trump is going to come in and expose the green scam. And here's why this is so critical. If you take those 4 technologies, they're growing by exponential numbers. And right now, today, they consume over 50% of all the silver in the world. And if we keep going in that direction, and the Samsung battery that's just being released requires 10 times more silver than the old lithium batteries, basically what we're going to have is they're going to run us into a situation where we have a catastrophic resource crisis, where we don't have enough silver, and the technological revolution that Trump is trying to create cannot happen, because without the silver, we'll have to shut down our plants. And so that's what's going on. So what's behind all of that? The global financial elite, listen carefully, folks, they believe, these egotistical blanks, that we are useless eaters, that the natural resources of the world belong to them, not God. God said, the cattle on 1,000 hills are mine, and the gold and silver are mine. So basically, we're at a dichotomy between the two. So what they're saying is, we have Georgia Guidestones. They want to reduce the population to 500 million. They want to reduce the population, according to the UN, to no more than 1 billion. Why? Because they realize that the planet is a finite sphere, and if we keep going and wasting things, we're going to be to a point where we don't have enough oil. Well, the oil is going to last a long time, but we don't have enough silver, and then we basically can't manufacture when we go back to the Stone Ages. So the goal behind all of this is just like this, because they see us as threatening their natural resources. So that's what's behind all of this. That's the essence of it. So let me stop and let you make a comment or two. We got about 6 minutes left.
Well, I mean, I think the smartest thing, just to keep it simple, is silver, gold, and XRP, and that's what I've been doing. So I feel pretty safe.
Yeah,
I feel pretty good.
Yep. And the two currencies. Here's what God told me. God said, when I have this transfer, I'm going to take care of all of my children. So the people who can buy gold, they have a lot of money, all right? The people who can buy silver, they're doing pretty good. But there's those who can't. So what's happened? XRP's been driven down. And let's go with what's going to happen with XRP. So we got the reverse carry trade that might bring XRP up to $1. But then we got something more important happening. Probably this month. I don't know, but they're talking about the BlackRock ETF. And when the BlackRock ETF comes out, they're saying that they expect in the first day, $3 billion worth of XRP will be purchased. And what that's going to do is, there's a finite number of XRP. They're saying it's going to take XRP to the same place silver is going to be in a few months, where it's not available to the general public. They'll have bought up all of the XRP, and there will be nothing left for us to buy. So if you're going to buy silver, you better buy it now. If you're going to buy XRP, you better buy it now. And so those people who buy XRP, once it gets implemented as the rails for the new economic system, and it's a finite number, here's how it works. It's not based on market cap. It's based on utility. If you want to transfer $1 million, no problem. XRP can be as cheap can be. But if you want to transfer 1 trillion, 5 trillion, 10 trillion, which is what happens every day, then XRP has to go up exponentially. It has to go up. The sweet number, according to the people at Ripple, is if we're going to go into a pretty full utilization of XRP, it has to go eventually to $10,000. Now, I'm not saying that's going to happen overnight. It's going to take years. But what they've done is purposely drive down the value of XRP in anticipation of the ETF coming so that they can go out and buy the XRP cheap behind the scenes to get ready for the explosion in price that's going to happen with XRP. And then we're going down the food chain in terms of cost. And so now if you go to the two currencies, the dinar and the dong, they're cheap. I bought my last batch.
Where do you buy the
2 months ago.
dinar and dong? Like, where do you buy this? On an exchange somewhere? Like, what?
The exchange that I used was X, like a big X, Change of America. And I'm lucky enough that I'm right here in Missouri, and I found a bank that sells all the currencies. So if you want to let the figures do the walking,
You can't just go to a bank like Wells Fargo and walk in and say, "Hey, I want."
Well, not every bank sells the currencies. You're going to have to make some phone calls to find out which one. I have one here in Branson that sells it. A place that you probably can get it anywhere in the country if you live in a big city is in a currency exchange, but you're going to take a premium. I got mine at the local bank. That's the cheapest place you can get it, for $60 per million for the dong. And anyway, it's about, if you bought that same thing at a currency exchange, it's probably going to cost you $80. But what they're saying is that the dinar is probably going to revalue at about 4 to 1, and the dong is probably going to value at 2. So basically,
Wow.
you can buy a few million dong or a few million dinar, and it wouldn't cost you a whole lot, and you might have a super return. And it looks like all those people are saying, "Oh, it's been 20 years, 30 years, and it's never happened." But look at the way everything is happening. Iran is falling, Vietnam is rising, Iraq is rising.
So the site people can go to make it simple is exchange, 𝗀𝗃𝗃, exchange of America.
Yes.
.com.
And there are other places you can go to. That just happens to be where I bought mine and at a local bank. And then there's one more layer to this, and I have to give a big disclosure. As we're talking about this, I need to say what I am is not a financial analyst. I basically am an historian. I do everything at the unction of God, and I basically go in and find out all the connections. So I started you off with, this is just a repeat. There's always a repeat. So in 34, we put the squeeze on China. What we did is FDR said in the middle of the Great Depression, he said, we need to accumulate silver to give confidence in the dollar. And so they were paying up to 3 times spot for silver. And the only nation in the world that was on a silver economy was Japan. And it utterly collapsed them. It was devastating to them. So they just learned from that. And that's what they're doing to us right now. But there's one more thing. So I'm not a financial analyst or a counselor. I just basically put all the dots together, look at the big picture, and I do strategic analysis. Now, this next piece is coming from the prophets, and I need to tell you, there is absolutely nothing about this other than it's speculation, unless you happen to believe in God and believe in the prophets.
Are you a prophetic strategic analyst or what? Is that what you call yourself?
Well, no. I get occasional words from God, but no, I'm not a prophet. But the prophets are saying this. What the prophets are saying is, I God will take care of all my people. So those that have very little to invest, he says, my chosen coin is Shiba Inu. Now, if you look at it, it's not an ISO 2022 compliant currency, so I'm staying away from it. However, what they're saying is going to happen is when the major rush runs away from the dollar, the people who have almost nothing can buy Shiba because it's 4 digits, 5 digits back from penny, and God may bless you. But it's
all right.
just coming from the unction of God. Our time is up according to what I see on my clock.
Yeah.
You got anything you want to say to wrap it up?
No, that's great. I hope my audience learned a lot. Silver, gold, and XRP. That's the best thing. And maybe invest in some dinar and dong. That's what I got from this. So, Am I good? We golden?
We're done.
All right. Thank you, Larry. God bless you. Thank you for joining me.
Bye-bye.
Where do people find you?
Oh, okay. I've got my own show now, Liberty Crusade Official, and you can find me on 𝗬𝗶𝗋𝗏.com. And maybe I'll make a real quick announcement. Starting next week, I'm going to start putting notices for my new book. It'll say coming soon. And on the 1st of February, I'm going to do pre-sales. And on the 14th or 16th of February, I'm going to release the new book. It's called Liberty Crusade. And guess what? The rest of the subtitle is restored republic. So
Beautiful.
it's all about what we do to restore this government and get it back and keep it.
Got it.
So that'll
Thank
be
you, Larry.
coming out in February. Thank you. Bye-bye.